Episode 5 coming at you. Welcome to episode 5, and we got a few things that I want to go over before we get into the build and where we're at. So I placed the boom order knowing that we were going to be getting close to doing the body on this. But what we're going to do is this whole build, we're going to do stock out of the box, what comes in the box, and then we're going to add the things that I purchased after the fact because I want to keep it to the directions first. But we have front and rear inner fenders that we got. We got the deluxe bonnet. This is the hood with the spare tire on top. So I'll paint match that while I paint match the stock hood so I can interchange them. Muscle winch and the winch bracket. Very excited to use this. I've heard nothing but good things, so we'll check that out once we get there. Mud flaps. The dash light kit and the light kit. So it should be a very nice setup truck when we're done. But right now, this is what we finished up on episode 4. This is where we're at. Transmission, transfer case are in. Chassis is pretty much assembled. And now we're on to axles and leaves and suspension and all that. So let's get started. Okay, so I skipped ahead a little bit. And I'm not putting it all back in the bag or taking it back apart. Thought I hit record, was not recording. So where we are is page 24. Page 24, all right? You're gonna need bag B, and you're also gonna need your leaf spring bag. In that leaf spring bag, as well as bag B. So let's talk about bag B first. Bag B for page 24 is gonna have your grub screw for your rod ends. It's gonna have your O-ring for your pivot balls, all right? Now, in the bigger leaf springs bag that your leaf springs came in, there are also these two bags. One of these bags contains your rod ends and your pivot balls, all right? So you're gonna need both those bags to build this. This is on page 24, okay? For page 25, you grab your little tray here and grab your front axle out of it, all right? We're not doing anything to this yet. That's on page 25. So that's what you're gonna need. Now, on page 25, it says to clock the C-hubs 10 degrees forward. So take these apart, clock them. I'm gonna go do that. While I'm doing the time lapse for everything, I'll go ahead and clock those and then get everything else on that we need to get on for page 25. As advanced warning for your rear axle, page 27 also says to clock the rears 10 degrees forward. So we'll be doing that when we get to the rear axle as well. And a good little note here, it is on page 25, right at the top. Thread lock, thread lock, thread lock, thread lock. As with any RC, especially ones that are all metal, any metal to metal connections, which is 99% of this truck because I haven't installed a plastic piece yet besides my rod ends. Thread lock. You don't want them backing out on the trails. You don't have to use anything crazy. Here you go. It comes with it. Use it. It's badass thread lock. It comes in the kit. Everything you need comes with it. All right. So you have it. Use it. All right. Let's move on to the time lapse. All right, so in the last few videos, I always say that I'm gonna find something that I don't like and I'm gonna look for something. Well, something presented itself. I don't know if you noticed, but in that time lapse, I didn't finish building this. And I kept looking at the directions, I kept looking at photos to make sure that I was doing this right. I even reached out to a couple of people, and I am correct in how I was building it. And I can tell you that it's something that I am not pleased with, and I think it could be done better. Your through bolts that go from the bottom to the top here through the leaf springs, they are not long enough to make it completely through the nut to the nylock part of the nut. You only get the first couple threads. To me, that's not secure enough. I would want them to come all the way through. This is a 20 millimeter M3, okay, that they put through here. I don't have them here. I'm gonna have to order them, but I think 22 millimeters is gonna be perfect to just come through that nylock. So I'm gonna order some 22 millimeters to put in here eventually. I am gonna build it the way the instructions instruct me to put it together, and I'm gonna see how it holds up if these get loose. I am gonna thread lock them because it doesn't make it through to the nylock. The other thing that I don't really care for about this is this top bracket right here has two lips on it. So it's kind of shaped like a U or a V, right? Where the nut sits in that. You need to use a open-ended wrench like this to get on the nut, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to get on even in there. I would much rather put a nut driver on this to drive them home, but I can't get to them because of the way that that's shaped like a U. I can't really get on the nut there really well. Even the tool that it comes with, I can't get that on that nut really well. It sticks on there a little bit, but it doesn't really seat, and I feel like I'm gonna strip it out. It is what it is. It's a small thing, but nonetheless, still to me, a little bit of an issue. So I wanted it to bring it to your attention. That way, when you're building and it doesn't seem right, it's normal. That's the way it was designed. But for me, I'd like it to come up through that nylock. So I'm gonna continue building. I'm gonna get this axle together for this episode, and then probably the rear, and then we're gonna wait to put these in the truck until the next episode. But found my first thing I didn't like, not a huge deal, but still something I wanted to bring to your attention. Also, with these bottom thread holes, okay, through the C-hubs, you have to go through the bottom with the leaf spring, okay? I found it's much easier to take a spare screw and start the threads and make sure that they're clear. I had a little bit of like paint in there, and it was making it very hard for me to get the screw started with the leaf springs. So what I did was I just drove a screw all the way through it before I put the actual leaf spring screws on. So just a little tip there. So let's move on to the second part of the time lapse. Hopefully this one's a little smoother because now I know what's up. Here we are. We just finished pages 24, 25, 26, and 27. So this brings us on to 28, the leaf spring system. So this is going to be where we mount everything to the chassis to accept the axles and the leaf springs. That's going to be next video. Just to touch on this, we just went through the little bit of an issue I had with the front axle. However, with the rear axle, that top bracket is not there. So these actually reach the lock nut with no issue, and they sit nice and flush. So the rear axle, 20 millimeters, perfectly fine. Everything went together great, threaded no problem, perfection. The front, I believe another 2 millimeters and these would be perfect. The screw may stick through a little bit, but to me it'll be a little bit more secure. So I'm gonna get some 22 millimeters and test that out, but that is my belief. I did get the steering link in there. So now we got the leafs on the front and the rear. These axles are beautiful. During the time lapse you may have seen, I did fill them up with udder butter. The front, I didn't do the rear yet. I'm gonna take the rear apart right now and just throw some udder butter in there. They do come pre-greased, but I like having a little bit extra in there, and knowing that I have udder butter in there, that's what I choose to use. But so far so good. Everything's going together pretty smooth. One little hiccup, and that's an easy fix. Once you realize what's going on and what you need to change, not a huge deal. I do think it would be fine over time. I don't think that screw being a little short is, gonna cause a huge issue, as long as you throw thread locker on it. If you don't throw thread lock on it, I think it might come loose, especially because you're not up to the nylock part of that nut. So just be aware of that. Right now what I'm doing is I'm taking all the pieces, all the hardware that I did not use out of bag B, I'm putting that away. The stock screws from the C-hubs, I'm putting those to the side because I don't need those right now. All the bags that came out of the leaf spring bag that I'm not using right now, those are going back in here. In the big leaf spring bag, because I like leaving everything the way it was. If I didn't use all the hardware, it goes back in the bag, so I don't end up with a table full of hardware and I don't know what bag it came out of or where it's supposed to go. I like that Boom Racing has you organized when you start the project. I think throughout the project, it's easier to keep yourself organized. For page 28, I know I'm gonna need bag C. So it's not even the same bag I was using, which is even better, a better reason to just pack everything away for now, because I might need this on page 35. I have no idea. So it's easier just to keep it separated. So far, we got the chassis, we got the axles and leaf springs all set up. Next episode, we're gonna be joining these two. And man, I'll tell you what, we're gonna have a heavy truck, because got some weight, got some more weight, and the weightiest. So it's definitely gonna be a good, heavy, solid quality truck. And I can't wait to get all this together, because it's starting to look like something at this point. I'm very, very happy about that. I'm gonna go charge my batteries, because I'm starting to get a little low. Gotta find my spare battery. Anybody else have that problem? You lose your spare batteries? I do. I'm gonna clean up my workbench, prep myself, because it looks like we're gonna need lots of parts for these next upcoming pages, and I wanna stay nice and organized. So we're gonna clean the bench, organize all the parts bags again, organize all my parts, get myself collected, and we're gonna move on to the next episode. See you there. Thanks for watching.